Welcome, everybody, to the Chinchilla Pickin' Podcast. It is March the 16th, 2025 at 4:02 p.m. As always, we hope to be entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. My name is David Underwood, and it is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you the one and only, the Baron of Bonds himself, Brandon Beaver.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, Brandon. I'm
That's all
doing
I
well,
got.
man. Spring is in the air. We got through the Ides in March, and Brutus did not stab us in the back. We are here. We are happy.
Who's
I mean,
Brutus?
I don't have a lot to say. Brutus,
Yeah,
yeah.
who's
Ides in
Brutus?
March. This plays Julius Caesar, A2 Brute. Am I the only person who is cultured around here?
You dork.
Of the two of us, am I around here? All of us in this room here, just the two of us. So like, all right, for our listeners' sake, I grew up overseas in Europe and mainly Britain, and it's like policy back in those days when I was a kid that we had to be cultured. So yes, I do know Shakespeare's plays and Julius Caesar and the Beware of the Ides of March, 15th of March, and
I, I I've seen the Arc de Triomphe before in person.
nice, nice, yes.
That's what I called it the entire time I was in France too. Excuse me, where is the
Okay.
Arc de Triomphe?
The art. Please don't say you said it like that, man.
Guys, I
Please.
am 50% of the reason why Europeans hate Americans.
Right? Yes. Yes. Because I'm going to Nice, France, in the fall, and I'm hoping to have my French up to speed by then. I'm gonna download some Babbel or something and get my French up. I speak very little French, but enough to get around.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to improve that
All of the
before I get
global
there.
view, all of the Europeans' view of Americans stems from my one trip to Europe 12 years ago.
Yeah. How did you pay for that trip too, for our listeners' sake?
Stocks.
Stocks,
Yeah.
everybody.
I
Stocks
don't
paid for his trip in cash,
look, I don't
not
regret it.
credit, cash.
I don't regret it. I don't regret it at all. I do wish I still had that money in stocks though. That would be nice.
I will say, and I get this from my I get this actually from to be honest, I get it from a biblical standpoint of having a balanced view of life. So King Solomon said many times that it's all vain, it's all vanities, right? It's all vain. Life is just vain. Doesn't matter. It's all about afterlife. But he also said in the same book to enjoy life and spend time doing enjoyment things and spend time with your loved ones. So it's a balance of the two. Have purpose and focus, but also enjoy things. So, yeah,
Yeah.
sell some shares, go on that trip to Europe. You only live once. Go enjoy it. Go do the things you want to do in life.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm taking 2.5 weeks and I'm disappearing. And Nick Young has agreed to take my place on the show for 2 weeks. And I'm going to be in the middle of nowhere hiking. So,
When is that?
uh, for our listeners and for Brandon, apparently, this is the end of May. The end of May.
Okay. Okay.
The end of May. I
So
will not be. I will be out of cell phone reach most of the time.
for our listeners that don't know this yet, and I don't even know if we've announced it on the show.
Right.
Episode 200, we're going to start going live on YouTube.
Live on YouTube.
We don't have a date for it yet, but we do know the episode number. Episode number 200 will be it. I will start probably on next show, maybe, or two shows from now. I don't know. I'm going to start posting a link to our YouTube channel and the show notes once it's created. And that way you'll have the YouTube link if you're interested in joining us live on YouTube episode 200.
So see, now I'm gonna have to have a YouTube screen up and be reading comments if they come in live. If we have that many listeners, who knows? We may have just two people on there, which would be fine with me. But yeah, I have to respond to comments as they come in.
Yeah.
Like Brandon, user 5927 says, "You are wrong, and I am right."
Well,
Joking.
the
All
way
right.
things go, that's looking like it'll be about mid-May. So we may
No,
have to make some
I'm not even gonna
adjustments.
be here for it. I'm not even gonna be here for it. That's great. Our first two episodes ever, I wasn't on. It was Brandon talking about bonds. That's how he got the nickname. And now our 200th episode, I won't be on. It'll be Brandon with Nick talking about bonds, hopefully. Uh, well, anyways, irregardless,
That's not a word.
yes, it is. Look
Okay.
it up. It's in the dictionary.
What's it mean?
Please, someone DM Brandon and tell him it's a word. Um, yes. So let's move forward, shall we? Rules, rules, rules. Brandon and I get together 5 to 10 minutes before the show, and we tell each other what we're going to talk about. Here to lie back and forth, the bicker and the banter, right here on the show for you. Brandon, take it away.
All right. I didn't know I was going first. We didn't talk about this, but we'll dive right in here. GE Aerospace. And I love the shows where I get to talk about my big wins and the
That
company
that's like you try to do that every. I think every show you incorporate that in,
that
and it's because to his credit, you do have a lot of them.
Yeah, well, I've almost quadrupled my money on this one now over the past couple of years. One of the things that I love about stocks is that you get to learn about things, because if you're doing your job, you should be researching into the industries and to the what the company that you own makes and produces. And so, over the past few years of owning General Electric, I've got to learn a lot about airplane engines and parts and stuff like that. It's been a cool thing, and it's especially fun when you get to make money doing it. That's especially fun.
That makes it all worthwhile, if you ask me.
Yes. So as a lot of you know, because we did a deep dive into General Electric about probably 2 or 3 years into the show. Deep dive, yeah. Put your scuba gear in because we're gonna do some more here. Um, your wetsuits, whatever those things are. I don't know. I don't scuba dive, but the what was that you just had on the screen? We're not YouTube live yet. People can't see you, Dave.
Just keep going. Just keep going. Don't worry.
It's so hard sometimes.
If for our listeners' sake, I am trying to make Brandon laugh as he's trying to be serious here about deep diving into GE. Let's deep dive. Let's go.
Okay, so
I'll stop. I'll
so
stop.
a company that was not profitable 4 years ago is now obviously very profitable with more than 100% of their revenue in free cash flow. And that was a huge issue for them when I first bought into the stock. Would they go positive free cash flow? I had faith that General Electric was going to do that under what was then their newer, I think he came in around 2018, CEO Larry Culp. And they had started the Great American Turnaround. And it's been a pleasure to be a part of this on myself, for myself to be a part of this turnaround. It's been, kind of reigniting my patriotism of the great American companies that once were that were no longer and now are again.
Yeah, like Bowen's no longer.
Yeah, well, Boeing is still no longer, and that's another story. But GE Aerospace announced this week that they're going to invest $1 billion in manufacturing in the United States. Just to give you like a snip of the economy, how important General Electric is to the economy of the United States. So they're responsible for 28,000 manufacturing jobs, 12,000 engineering jobs. They've got 53,000 total employees across the United States. Go ahead, Dave. You're muted.
Are you talking about just GE Aerospace here
No, this is General Electric
as a whole?
as a whole.
So
Yeah.
Vernova, healthcare, everything.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
All right. But the new investment, and this is just in GE Aerospace, the new investment is going to create 5,000 new jobs. Um, they also announced that they're going to be returning $7 billion to shareholders this year. So that's going to be buybacks and dividends. I think it was 5.6 last year, $5.6 billion. So they're increasing it this year. They're going to spend $500 million to expand capacity to strengthen quality and delivery. They're aiming to grow their capacity and expand several key sites, especially those that support production and assembly of narrow body CFM LEAP engine, where deliveries are expected to increase 15 to 20% this year. That's their major engine that they manufacture for commercial airlines. Um, Now, the CFM is a collaboration between U.S. company GE Aerospace and I think it's a French company called Safran. And this collaboration actually started in the 1970s, so they've been collaborating for a long time. And they collaborated. Their collaboration created this company called CFM. And what they do is CFM uses ceramic matrix composites to build turbine shrouds for engines. And those are projected to produce about 16% lower fuel consumption overall for the commercial airliners. So that's a big deal for Boeing and Airbus, who are the large customers for the CFM engines that lead the LEAP engine. 16% less fuel. That's a reduction of cost greatly for them. Um, Now, this carbon fiber reinforced plastic composite allows for lightweight fan modules and minimizes the overall weight of the engine. That's why you get the less fuel because it's making it lighter. It's interesting because they actually started um, this technology. They actually started producing this technology in the 1970s, and this collaboration almost immediately started to fall apart because when they created the first CFM engine, they went an entire year without any orders for it at all. In fact, there were numerous reports, I think it was the Wall Street Journal, and trade magazines that were saying they were calling this unsellable. And they scheduled a meeting between shareholders of both companies in the late 1970s, and they said we're going to have this meeting. We're going to discuss the terms of our dissolution of this because it's not working. And 2 weeks before that meeting was supposed to start, they received a order for I think 110 different engines for a major airliner, and it just all of a sudden this became the most popular engine produced for commercial air flights right away. Beat out Rolls Royce and everybody else that was in the market. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, you have to keep in mind, especially if you're trying to invest in an airline.
Yeah,
Airlines are very cyclical. They every so many years they retire planes and they buy new ones. If you're not coming out with a new product in the correct time of their cycle, you may not get sales.
yeah.
They're probably not looking. And that probably had a lot to do with that. And I'm sure there's smarter people than us that at airline sales and engine sales over there that knew this. I don't understand why they were concerned about not having a sale for a few months.
It was a whole year. No
Still,
sales.
if the product's good, it's going to eventually. You have to believe. Here's my thought process, Brandon, and this is how I look at investing as well. Is if I truly believe in the company, and I don't see any movement for a year, but I know that in a few years this is going to take off, and I believe in it, I'm still going to own it. I'm not going to sell because I believe in the product.
Yeah,
And you have to have people with that kind of vision and belief behind a product that you're trying to revolutionize an industry such as the airline industry and come out with
Uh,
less fuel consumption engines. You know what I mean?
right, right.
And that's the type of people I would invest in.
However, sometimes being before your time does not pay off and does not work out in your favor. There's an old saying that says, the pioneers get the arrows and the settlers get the land, right? Which is true. I
Got
mean,
it. Got it.
Think about Apple for a second. Think about
Okay.
Apple. I mean, the iPad, the tablet was something that had been around way before the iPad came out.
Yeah.
And then the iPad came out and, then everybody
Yeah.
bought it.
Palm.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to the company Palm?
Right.
Remember them?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're close to my age. Palm.
Yeah, I
They
remember the
don't
Palm
exist.
Pilots. Yeah.
It don't exist anymore, does it?
No.
Gone.
Yeah.
Blackberries. Gone. But now you
Yeah.
still have Apple.
Right. Right. But it does take time, to your point. to develop aviation technology and to get it right. For example, the CFM International Rise is going to be the successor to the CFM Leap, and that's not going to be live and out to the public until the mid 2030s. Now, next year, they're going to start testing it. And that's going to be another reduction of fuel cost to airlines by 20%. Another
You know,
reduction
they've
to
been
airlines.
trying to reduce fuel in airlines. I remember, you remember this, the fiasco of the Dreamliner and the batteries.
Yeah.
And every time they tried to fly these airplanes with batteries, there were smoke-filled cabins, there were smell-filled cabins, they were overheating, they couldn't get it right. And so they just stopped.
Well,
They stopped.
this is going to combine electric technology with what they call sustainable fuel.
I wonder, see, here's the thing. NASA, um, and all the militaries, major militaries use cooler technology to cool their batteries. When is companies like Boeing and Airbus going to utilize their technology for what they do? I mean, cooler technology. So if you don't know, guys, this company I've been covering for years. I'm very well at what they do. I'm very versed on this company. They just signed another contract this past week, Brandon, with what I believe to be Blue Origins. They don't say the name of the company, but it's a private space exploration company, and I believe it's Blue Origins. But this is what they do, and if you're going to build a battery that you need to maintain its temperature, use cooler.
Yeah. I mean,
They have the
maybe
technology
when the
that exists.
maybe when the new Rise engine comes about in the mid 2030s, maybe they will be using cooler.
I mean, there's speculation that with Elon Musk and him putting a one of his Optimus robots on Mars, and was it the fall next year, 2026 in the fall. Well, it's going to take a year to get there, so they're flying off fall next year. So then a fall of 2027, it will land on Mars. The speculation is cooler is going to power that battery pack because you need a technology like cooler in order to maintain the degree differential up in there and on Mars.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
So
Can you
diving more
imagine? Hold up. Sorry, hold on. I was going to get on a Tesla rant there. Go ahead. Continue with GE. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so diving more into this $1 billion that's being spent into the United States, 113 million are coming to here to the greater Cincinnati region. And that's going to be facility upgrades and additional equipment for several sites in the area that produce, test, and assemble the company's commercial and military engines. $70 million is going to Muskegon, Michigan, if I'm pronouncing that right. 16
Muskegon.
Muskegon, okay. 13 million West Jefferson, North Carolina, $200 million investment in military engine production. $51 million going to Auburn, Alabama. $14 million going right down the street from us in Westchester, actually, where you live. Don't you live in Westchester, Dave? I hate to.
I do live in
Well,
Westchester.
I probably shouldn't say that on here, but whatever.
Thank you. You letting everybody know where I live. Now they're all going to come to my house.
Yes, yes. Ask him for stock picks, or if you want revenge, maybe egg his house if he gave you a wrong, stock to buy.
You know what? I have over the I'm not 100% right, Brandon. I have had get one wrong every now and then.
Yeah,
So
you're not Jim Cramer. You're much better. We both are, hopefully.
you
Both of
don't
us
have an
are.
inverse chinchilla picking
But
ETF.
you know what? I don't trade stocks often, and sometimes I've piggybacked off of what you said off the show, and I've been successful off of it. But I do track the stuff that you say oftentimes, and I'm like, Dave got it right again. Dave got it right again. It's kind of
Yeah,
annoying.
I'm going to cover three that I'm currently down on here in a little bit. But anyways, let's continue.
20 million to Asheville, North Carolina, 11 million to Batesville, Mississippi. So, what many of you are asking, should we buy this stock? Well, let's give a little bit dive into the fourth quarter and full year earnings here. Total orders were up 46% to 15.5 billion. Total revenue of $10.8 billion, that's up 14% year over year. Profit was $2.3 billion, up 37%. Operating profit was up 49% to 2 billion. Profit margin of 21.2%, that's 350 basis points higher. EPS was $1.75 for the fourth quarter, not for the full year, but for the fourth quarter. That's up 62% year over year. Cash from operating activities, $1.3 billion. That's 5% higher. Free cash flow of $1.5 billion. That's 25% higher, or 21% higher. For the full year, total orders were up 32% to $50.3 billion. Total revenue of $38.7 billion. That's up 9%. Profit up 27%. Profit margin was 980 basis points higher. EPS of $6.09, up 27%. Cash flow from operating activities up 26%. I'm calling this a buy still. I think the price to earnings ratio right now is up to about 32%, which seems high for an aviation manufacturer, but for this company right now and the way that it's moving, I like it.
Nice.
And let me Warren Buffett likes to talk about, having a moat. He wants a moat for a company for it to be as monopolistic as it possibly can. Three out of four commercial flights are powered by GE engines. Doesn't get much better than that.
Wow. Nice. That is a nice little moat there.
Yep. And for the coming year, Royal Jordanian announced an order for 18 Gen X-1B engines, plus spares to power their expanded Boeing 787-9 fleet. They've received orders under a contract of the U.S. Army valued up to $1.1 billion for the continued production of T-700 engines through 2029. Um, I what Revenue was projected to be in the high double digits range by Larry Culp, the CEO, for this year.
Gotcha. Is Larry
Another
Culp,
day.
is he planning on staying with GE for a while, or is he trying to, he did his job, he made the three separate companies, he's ready to move on now, he's got him in a good direction, or is he planning on staying?
And they're looking for a successor right now, for what I know.
Gotcha. Because I worry that it's going to be another Disney where Bob Iger has to keep coming back and save the company.
I hope not.
Eh. Well, we will see.
We've
We
got a
will
good
see.
basis of growth going on right now. Let's continue it. I'm very happy.
Nice. All right. Good basis of growth. I like that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, man. Let me. Am I good to move on? Am
Yeah,
I?
you're
Am I?
good. You're good.
All right. Cool. Let's move forward, if you will. So I want to talk about a number of things that have been going on. So I know Brandon, you have great ideas, Brandon, when it comes to investments and investing, and you look at companies and dig into fundamentals. And I kind of go over more macro events and what's going on. But one I want to look at right now is Southwest Airlines, right? I told Brandon I was going to bring this up, and I am going to bring it up. So Southwest just made news recently this past week talking about how bags will no longer fly free at Southwest, and this was one of their big selling points uh, back in the day for getting customers to come to Southwest was bags fly free. Well, I mean, you got to ask yourself, well, what's Southwest doing? Well, this is not the first thing that Southwest has done. So let me explain how we got to this point. You can find this article on how Southwest's new baggage policy reveals a fight for the future. This is by the Dallas Morning News. This came out just yesterday at 1:47 p.m. And how this happened. So, all right, let's go back to 2024 and the company's first quarter earnings call in 2024. CEO Bob Jordan implied that the airline was reconsidering its open seating policy at that time. Wasn't clear then, but the picture crystallized over time, is what this article goes on to say. I'm going to read more from this article, but I'm going to pick and choose, but you can feel free to read the whole article yourself. In June, Elliott Investment Management disclosed an 11% stake in the company, while they were also critiquing Southwest management and finances. By July, open seating was dead, and Elliott mounted even more pressure. Elliott reached the ownership threshold to call meetings in September. So in September, Elliott remade the board of directors to what they wanted, and they instituted a transformational plan. This is what happened in September 2024. Jordan, the CEO, denied that these changes were forced by Elliott, but everybody believes that this is what Elliott is doing in order to boost revenue. Why are they talking about boosting revenue? Well, the stock price has declined by over 50% recently. Their revenue has declined. Their share of American domestic, U.S. domestic flights has declined. They were the number one. They lost now to Delta, and American Airline has passed them up recently, and those two become one and two, and Southwest has gone down to third in U.S. domestic, and so they need to do something, right? Southwest in 2018 they led by with 20% of the total market. They're now down to 17%. So to give you some numbers behind that, right? Basically, Southwest needs to change something. So now what they were looking at is they started listing flights available because Southwest has this unique, I guess you would call it a way of listing their flights. You have to go to Southwest.com. You can't book on a third party. So when Elliott took over, they said, let's see how well we do. Let's pick one third party site. Let's go list on it. So they did this with Google. And what they realized is that the other airlines, since they don't include baggage fees on their airline price or any of these other things that you can add on if you so choose, their prices seemed a little bit better than Southwest because Southwest includes everything all in one. And you don't have to pay this for this seat and pay to pick your seat and pay to do this and pay to do that. And so it seems on the surface like, American or Delta had slightly comparable prices. And so Southwest couldn't say they were a low cost carrier. So what they did then, they said, okay, let's transform Southwest in order to be just like all the other carriers. And that was a decision they made at that time. So that's where you get fast forwarding to now, where no, you're no longer, it's no longer first come first serve. You could pick your seats, and now there's going to be baggage fees, and it's going to be more like everywhere else. And you have to ask yourself: is Southwest doing this? Is this going to work for Southwest, or is Southwest known for what it did before? Is that what made Southwest Southwest? Brandon, your first initial thoughts.
I just like the fact that Google's involved.
It
Like,
was just the first place they were listing. I mean, they had to pick something, so they picked a Google led travel site.
yeah, well, I mean, but also they're very good with data and assisting companies with being more efficient. So that makes me happy as a Google shareholder. But I don't know. I mean, every time I hear Elliott Management, I get a little queasy. And it's not it can go one way or the other. They can be corporate vultures or they could help the company. It just depends on what they're wanting to do.
Or they could be both. They could help the company become better and then sell off the company
Yeah, make
and
it a
make
little bit
take
more
their money and
valuable.
go.
Right. Right.
So what I see here is I think Southwest is losing its identity, but they've been losing market share, so maybe it's time to switch their identity. And I don't know if this is the right move to become like everyone else, but it is the move they're choosing to make.
Yeah.
And you could say it's Elliott Management doing it or not. Um, Let me pull up a chart recently. So if I look at a chart for the last 6 months chart, it's about even, man. So they had the meetings back in September. They were about $28 a share then. They're at 31.73 now. They hit a high in December at 35.36. So I mean it's gone up a little bit, you could say,
Yeah.
but is Elliott doing a good job here? I don't know, man. Am I going to buy Southwest stock because of this? No, but it makes me want to buy Delta and American.
I bought it years ago, years and years ago, and it was a mistake.
See,
You know,
yeah,
there's a
I
there's an old saying in the market that I still think that for a lot of these guys rings very true. And the saying is that, hey, if you want to learn how to become a millionaire, the best way to become a millionaire is to be a billionaire first and then buy airlines.
I like that. Although United surprised everybody last year with that move, but there you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, I mean this article just convinces me, and the more I look in the Southwest, convinces me to buy American Airlines or Delta if I was going to buy one.
Yeah.
but not
Even
Southwest. I'm not a
even
buyer.
Warren
I'm a
Buffett,
seller of this.
even Warren Buffett got, I think it was Southwest that he bought
Did he?
and got it wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. All
I mean,
right.
I
So
actually went into Southwest, I think, a little bit after he sold. And then I didn't do well on it either. And I've never flown on Southwest either. That was my first
I
mistake,
have.
flying into a company that I've gotten no experience with. And I mean, it's always been Delta or United Airlines to me, and I've been pretty loyal to Delta the last few
I have
times.
too. Yeah, I've been loyal to Delta. When I've flown Southwest, I was just low on money and it was the cheapest at that time.
Yeah,
That was why I made those. That was years and years and years ago, and it was the last. It was one. I was going to a John Jones UFC event. This was 2014. I think I just got done paying some things, and I didn't have a whole lot of money to buy plane tickets, and uh, I paid for Southwest tickets. But
I think you asked me to go to that.
did I?
I didn't. It was one of the events I didn't go, but John
You,
Jones
you
was
always
awesome.
say no
I
to.
regret that. I do
Yeah,
regret not going.
that was a good time.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on. Next set, because I always do these headlines. I like to give Brandon some time to respond to them and see his thoughts. This one is so Rubio, Marco Rubio, and Scott Bessent are members of the current administration's cabinet, and they did a kind of media tour the past 2 to 3 days because all this tariff news has been everywhere. Tariff, tariff, tariff. Consumer sentiment, consumer sentiment, consumer sentiment. Like Dick's stock, and I sent Brandon. I sent you the article of this, the headline of this article. Dick's Sporting Goods reported earnings and the stock price went down even though it had great earnings. And it was because, hey, consumer sentiment is low. If I see consumer sentiment in one more article, I'm going to go crazy and poke my eyes out because consumer sentiment should not be driving the market this much. I mean, it's just everywhere. Consumer sentiment, consumer sentiment. Where are you getting this consumer sentiment from?
Yeah, it
What
was.
is the poll you're doing? Are polls really accurate today in America nowadays?
Uh,
No. I don't
no, and
believe
they
a poll
never
to save
really
my life.
were. They never. I mean, depending on who you ask, they're going to get a different result, depending on the the different group of people that they're studying. And
Yeah.
consumer sentiment's the same way. It's just there's no one number that tells the whole story. I do get a little concerned, a little bit right now, not about consumer sentiment, so to speak, but the fact that we cited a study last week that said that 60% of the spending was being done by the top 10% of the United States, I think it was, in the income category. And if the stock market's going to continue correction, then how much are they going to keep spending?
Yeah, they're going to take a hit. But I will say this, and I agree with Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, current Treasury Secretary. Secretary. I don't usually agree with politicians too much, but he's actually correct on this. And I've said this on the show too. So if you go back to a lot of our other shows, you'll hear me say it all long before Scott Bessent went on TV and said it. Market corrections are normal and healthy, and we get 1 to 2 a year. I say it
Yeah,
every year, Brandon. Do I not say that
I,
every
I
year?
get that, and it is very healthy, and he's saying that right now out loud, I think, to kind of calm people down a little bit. But I also think behind the scenes, they're looking at the data and saying, come on, when can we cut interest rates and turn this thing back around? Pull the nose back.
Well,
Get
they're
pull.
not going to cut interest rates because they're worried about inflation. So,
I
the,
think they will. I honestly think that if we continue in down correction, and we had a little bit of soft of a little bit soft of an inflation report last week. Not very soft, but compared to expectations, I think that this year we're probably going to have a couple of rate cuts, but we'll see.
well, this year, yes, but
Yeah.
not this very next meeting. No.
No.
But yes, let's get into this article. The headline reads: Rubio says U.S. could engage in new trade deals after tariffs are imposed. Article came out just today at 11:42 a.m. on Reuters Newswires. What Marco Rubio has said. He's Secretary of State. If you don't know, another member of the current administration's cabinet. Um, it says once the United States has imposed these tariffs, and we've got all the tariffs imposed on everybody, and it's a what do you call it? He says it's not retaliatory. It's even in the bar tariffs. So if they tariff us, we tariff them. Reciprocity, that's the word I'm looking for. A baseline of fairness and reciprocity is the quote from Marco Rubio. Once they do that, then they could go ahead and engage in trade talks with countries. So he's basically coming out and saying that, hey, we're willing to work with them, but we want to set the bar and the baseline with everybody to where if you give us 100% tariffs, we're giving you 100% tariffs, and then now we can start negotiating at that mark.
Yeah.
And that's what he's saying. And I believe he's coming out saying that at the same time Scott Pazant, I don't know how to say his name, is coming out saying this, trying to do like a media tour and push these points. Like, let's not overreact to the market. Like you said, let's not overreact and push the economy down, by overreacting. Do you believe them, or do you believe this is just politics and they're trying to game the media?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think
Okay.
it's a little bit of both. And it's funny because I was kind of listening to the conference call again that GE Aerospace had for their fourth quarter, and somebody asked him about the tariffs that they asked Larry Culp about the tariffs, and he just kind of shrugged it off, and he's like, we could handle a couple of $100 million of extra cost.
Wow.
Only a couple $100 million.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish
I
I
mean,
wish I could
just
handle a couple hundred
I
million
know
dollars of costs.
I'm in awe of what he's done with the company and the
He
turnaround.
must have been listening to our podcast last week where I said, if you just need to make an extra couple hundred million, you solve some of these supply chain issues and bing bang boom it.
Well, well, the thing is part of the reason for this investment, he said too, is that the deliveries are slower than they're wanting still. Um, and okay, so exactly what he said was deliveries remain constrained by material input, which translated means that delivery of goods or products is limited or restricted because of challenges with obtaining the necessary materials or resources to produce.
Gotcha.
So
So,
we're
all right,
still,
let's bring this back to tariffs, because that's still the talk of the
well,
town. That's still.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
So let me say this real quick. Walmart and Home Depot, two companies, just made news because they've been asking for concessions from their suppliers, mostly from China, for example, to lower their prices in order to share the cost of these tariffs that are being charged at the borders. And um, the first, I think there's 10% on steel and 10% on aluminum additional that was just announced last week. And well, these companies in China are now saying we can't go any lower. We got razor thin margins. We're going to start losing money. And in fact, the Chinese government now is calling for Walmart to meet with them next week over this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Didn't we cover this last week? I remember us covering this last week.
Probably.
Yeah, we did. And so, yeah, Walmart was going to Beijing, and they were going to talk about it. And but I think Walmart has all the power here. If you want to sell, that's the same thing I said last week. If you want to sell at Walmart, you're going to
Yeah,
make money. You're going to make millions. You
I don't.
Walmart has the power.
Yeah, I mean, China's a big market, and Walmart's got, a big
Where,
footprint.
where are they going to sell
Walmart,
those same goods? Where are they going
now,
to sell them?
now you got the Chinese government involved, and that's a dictatorship. It's not like the president of China is going to be kicked out next week or
Yeah,
not
no, no,
voted.
no.
It hurts the economy. That's
I understand. I understand how it works over there, but what my point is, like, you need Walmart to sell your goods, or you don't really have much of
this
a
is true.
business.
This is true.
So it can't be Walmart to take all the heat here. Like, Walmart has the power to say, you guys got to take some concessions.
Yeah. Well, there's some suppliers in particular, one that I was reading, I think that was for Home Depot, that's actually now moving completely out of China and going to Southwest Asia. So they
See,
said
and
if we do this, we've had to mark down our prices 10% in order to make up for the 10% tariffs that Home Depot's having to pay. But now if we move to, somewhere else in Southeast Asia, then we don't have to pay, Home Depot doesn't have to pay the tariff, so we can just mark our prices back up.
yes, and so this is why I'm not concerned about the tariffs in the short term. Yes, it's going to have a negative effect. But in the long term, the U.S. economy is going to be the big winner here, and I believe that this is not going to be a terrible thing because part of this current administration's way of doing things is negotiation. but negotiating from a standpoint of I have all the chips, you need my chips if, and I think it's going to work out positive. And so I'm not a what do you say, a seller of the US economy because of tariffs. That's not a
Yeah.
reason for me to be negative on the US economy as a whole.
I'm not a seller of the US economy either, but I'm negative on tariffs. I hope you're right. I view tariffs as the same way I do all taxes and corporate taxes. I
Right.
mean,
But all right. And
lower productivity.
let's take a look at the US economy, right? And let's Dick's, I go back to the Dick's earnings because it's something I know you understand how that company works, and it's something I can reference back to. They had a great earnings call. They did wonderful. The only reason that they guided lower was consumer sentiment and concerns about tariffs. There was no fundamental numbers that they put out that said X plus Y minus C is going to equal this, and this is why we're going lower. That
Yeah.
did not exist.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm like, a lot of these companies have been sold off and they're undervalued. So I bought into, there's three of them I bought into. I bought into Tesla. I thought the sell off was way too exaggerated. I bought into under $300 a share. Now I am a little bit down right now in that position. I'm not concerned about it. I bought into Cooler. Its sell off was exaggerated, and still a little bit down in that one. Not concerned about it. I believe that one's coming back stronger than Tesla. I think I'm going to double my money in Cooler, but Tesla, I'm going to make a profit. And then I also bought into Novo Nordisk, and I explained my reason for that is that these compounded generic companies are being ordered to stop, and you're going to have to buy the real drug, and the people who are already on it have to pay the price. And I believe Novo Nordisk is going to be the big winner in the short term, 3 to 6 month range for that. I bought in at Novo Nordisk at $79 a share, so I'm down right now, but I believe I'm going to make my money in a swing trade.
I agree. And Hims, like we talked about, Hims is a
Yep.
dog with fleas, so don't touch that one. I bought an Nvidia. What was it? I think it might have been Monday. My days get mixed up now. But I bought it right after I said I was going to buy it on the show, whenever that was,
Yeah.
whether it was last week or the week after, and I'm up 10.5% on it. So that's
See, and like a couple weeks before that on the show, I said I was going to buy Nvidia when it was down, and I did it. And I told you guys in the group chat, said, "Hey, I'm buying Nvidia," and I bought it, and I made money off Nvidia off the swings. It's Nvidia's been channeling. It's really I will come out and say it is in a channel right now between $100 and $140 a share.
yeah, those, I mean, that's a pretty large channel too, and that's pretty normal for a company that's as highly volatile as an Nvidia is. So I'm not calling it a victory yet. But in fact, my long-term horizon is very, very long-term, much longer than a week, much longer than a year, even, So we'll see how that goes. By the time we do this show next week, I could be down 5% on it. Who knows?
Right.
But
It makes me think back in the days when we first started the show, and I was buying and selling Tesla because it was swinging 10% every other week, and I was making a killing doing it.
yeah,
I was making it. It was back when it was around $1,000 a share, and every time it would drop below 900, I would buy in, and it would jump back up to 1,000, and I would sell, and I did that like 4 or 5 times in a row. Very happy. It was probably my best year. I think yeah, my one of my best years.
yeah.
But anyways, let's move on. Let's move on from tariffs and geopolitical and how it relates to stock investment. I'm not concerned. I'm not worried about that. I want to see fundamental reasons for buying and selling a company. And I think a lot of good companies are undervalued, but you have to do your research and do your homework. All right. The last one, and this is just a straight headline, Brandon. I want to get your quick thoughts on it, and then I'll go into my earnings coming up this week. All right.
Hmm?
Headline is Precious gold pops above $3,000 an ounce for the first time in a historic safe haven rally. First time ever, gold has gone above $3,000 an ounce. In the last year, it's gone from 2,100 an ounce to $3,000 an ounce. It's continued to go higher. Do you believe people are moving into gold as a safe haven, or do you believe there's some other reason here for the commodity jumping?
That's a safe haven.
What?
It's safe.
So, do you not believe that people are using Bitcoin as a safe haven?
I mean, it doesn't appear so yet.
A lot of companies have built a Bitcoin position as a safe, and they've come out on the headline is basically said a safe haven. Maybe not those exact words, but they've come out and said that.
Yeah, but it's still moving with the Nasdaq at the
Sort
moment,
of,
which is
sort of.
yeah, it's
Yes, gold has been. I mean, it was a great investment. When I bought my gold coins, I'm up quite a bit. If you look at the gold futures on the precious metals, I'm doing wonderful. But I don't plan on selling those. Those are what I'm leaving in my legacy. But I think gold is a great investment, especially in these times of uncertainty and you don't know what's going to happen. And I believe silver is an even better investment. And the reason, if you're really worried about, if I hear a lot of people concerned about what if this happens and what if that happens, silver is used in more things than gold is. Both are great at conducting electricity. They're both used in high end electronic parts. Um, and that's where silver's biggest usage is, I believe. But I mean, they're great investments to hold on to. Nothing I'm gonna day trade or swing trade. These are just things I'm gonna buy and keep and hold.
swing.
Swing trade.
You said swing.
All right, man, you're showing your age with that one. All right, here we go. Earnings this week on Wednesday. We have General Mills. I want to see if they say anything about RFK and his move into the future. I keep seeing things
No, they're
online.
not going to say anything about it. They might allude to it or
They
they
met
might
with him.
allude it,
They
but
met with him. Are they not going to mention anything about the meeting they had?
I mean, they won't say anything negative.
Okay. But I mean, they did meet, and
Yeah.
so they got to have something come out of that meeting. That's on Wednesday. Super microcomputers. That's going to give me a look inside of the Bitcoin of that and how they view their Bitcoin position for super microcomputers and how they're expecting to grow revenue by the billions. And I want them to explain that. I mean, I like the company, but you kind of have a high bar there for that company. I want you to lay that out to me, how you expect to do that. I hope to
Yeah.
hear that on the earnings call. On Thursday, FedEx. That's going to be a good overall economic measure. Do they expect to be shipping more packages, less packages, going up, going down? What's FedEx got to say? I want to hear. Nike coming out on Thursday. Let's get a look at the good old Nike and what they have to say. They've been down the past year. Brandon, you currently own it. What are you expecting?
I don't know. What I'm expecting just to hear more about how the turnaround's going on. I'm a little frustrated with Nike.
I know you are. So what
Lack
are you
of
hoping? What are you
lack
hoping
of
to hear from the
I,
turnaround?
I
What do
want
you
a
want to
new
hear?
I want a new Jordan line. I want new running shoes. I want them showing back up at the runners conventions and building
So
back up that base. You just posted you were looking for walking shoes. You looked at Facebook and you got a
yeah,
few recommendations. Not a single one of them was Nike.
yeah. No one said
Not a single
Nike.
one. Nobody.
Yeah, Nike's not. Yeah,
It's
nobody
frustrating.
cares. Yeah. And that's their problem. OnCloud, Hoka, all these other companies are coming out there and producing this taking this market share away from Nike. But Nike has clothing which these other companies don't have, and that's where they've made up for the loss of running shoes. But I don't think it's quite enough.
It's not.
So all right, we're gonna look at Nike on Thursday, and then on Friday, Carnival Cruise. Let's get a look at the travel, what they have to say about cruises right now. I think Carnival Cruise is doing well, but yeah, a lot of people are dogging Carnival Cruise online on social media. So we'll see what they actually have to say in the numbers. Let the numbers do the talking. Final thought, Brandon, take it away.
I am most interested in FedEx as the largest package carrying airline in the world.
Really?
That's what
Okay.
I'm interested in. Over the overall economy, I'm not buying it, but I just want to hear what they have to say.
All right. Yeah, I mean that's why I mentioned these weekly earnings because sometimes I'm not buying or selling it either, but I want to hear their guidance and their earnings call because it affects other positions I have, and I'm interested in see what they have to say, like
Yeah,
General Mills. I'm not buying
largest.
General Mills, but I want to know if they mention RFK.
Yeah, the largest car. Wow, largest cargo airline in the world is FedEx. So. There could be a lot of implications there, regarding global trade, the supply chain, all of that stuff.
There you go. All right. What I'm looking for this week, I'm looking for hopefully a more of a rebound in the market, but I am cautiously skeptical, very skeptical. I believe we're going to have more downturn. We're going to officially hit that correction mark and we're going to move into there and before we officially come back. So, if what I believe is correct, you're going to buy things like UVXY. You do a call on UVXY because the market's going to continue the correction. I think it's just an overall feeling macro events of the market and the news headlines and the media pushing out this narrative. I believe that's what's going to push it lower. I don't see the fundamental reason for it going lower. I see the fundamental reason for a strong U.S. economy and for these stocks of good companies going higher. That's what I see
Yeah.
fundamentally. And so I'm using this as opportunities to go all in. I'm almost out of cash, almost going all in here on the market because I believe this is a good time to go in, saving a little bit of money for some extra expenditures as I see fit. I might DCA some of my Google, but I don't know. Right now, I'd be DCAing up instead of down because I bought it so cheap. But still might be a good opportunity to buy some more there. That's all I have. Do your research. This is the moments that I talk about when I believe that the market is going to be bounce back and it's just a correction. It's time to find the valuable companies that are undervalued
And
that are strong.
the fact that we saved this for the end of the show is a little frustrating because I hope you're right, but there are some things that appear to be leading us.
Well, like what? I mean, we got a couple minutes. Like what? Give me an example.
I mean, just the fact that
Data. Give
the
me
rate,
data.
the rate curve's been inverted for years, even before COVID. I don't want to say, I'm not going to say the word consumer sentiment, Dave, because you know how we both feel about it. But, the 60% of spending being done by the top 10% of the country, and the stock market's going into correction mode at the same time, which is probably going to affect their spending, which isn't good. I would just be cautious, is what I'm saying.
All right, fair enough, man. Fair enough. I mean, and Brandon, you and I get on here and we have different views all the time,
Yeah.
right? So here we go again. Let's see who what happens. All right.
I'm not saying it would be a severe recession, but I mean, nothing wrong with a mild recession. We had a technical mild recession 2 years ago, I think it was.
We had a technical
Somewhere around
recession.
there.
Yes. Good.
So we go over the market cycle and try to you know figure out where we're at in the market cycle. Go back and listen to it.
All right.
It'll help.
All right. We hope you like what you heard here today. I don't know. If you do, hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends and families all about us. We thank you for listening. As always, we hope we have been entertaining, educational, and uplifting. Have a good night.
Have a good night.